Welcome to Tech Habit Weekly, episode 4. Today we have some rumors going on for you, talking about the iWatch, stuff like that. Also, the newer developer preview builds of Mavericks and iOS 7 have hit developer preview 3, so we'll be talking about those. And we also have some tech treats for you guys. We'll find out what that is in just a second. I'm Bob Roach. You may know me from my YouTube channel or roachtechnology.com. YouTube, I'm at CPUKid00. I do tons of Hackintosh tutorials, general technology talk. I love Apple, in case you couldn't tell. And joining me today is also Dante Harris. Dante, go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm Dante Harris. You can find me at Twitter at KC Nightmare. I specialize in PC repair, virus removal, Mac OS, Windows, and anything pretty much technology based. And I'm here with Bob and going to review some different Apple products today and some future things that's going to happen with Apple. Let's find out what we're going to get into today. Thanks.
We're just going to go ahead and we'll kick it off with the first topic we have today, and that's the iOS 7 Beta 3 and the changes that we've seen. So, Dante, if you want to go ahead and get started, just talk about some things you like, what's changed.
Okay, so far from iOS 7 Beta 2, I've noticed that I've had a lot of different issues going on. I used to have the Bluetooth icon anytime you use Bluetooth-enabled devices or streaming. For instance, I have a head unit in my vehicle, and the Bluetooth icon would be oversized going past this bar across the top, and sometimes it would get stuck there. Another thing I've been noticing is that the UI, the overall UI, seems like it's been changed. I was getting a lot smoother transitions from the first beta and now to beta 3. It seems like it's superb. It's excellent. I can tell that they're pretty much they have that almost down packed, and I'm just waiting for everything else to come out. I didn't notice any new features in this particular one. Of course, the last one we noticed that there was voice memos came back
Yeah.
that was missing from the package, and hopefully we'll see some more features come in. But as of right now, I can say this thing runs pretty stable. I haven't had any battery issues like I had with the first beta. Right now, it seems like my battery lasts all day running on my iPhone 5, and I don't know. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the big thing that was for me is, last time or on beta 2, I noticed that I took a lot of pictures. And so I'm always firing up the camera, and every single time on beta 2 I'd open up the camera, it would crash. Then I'd do it again, and the whole phone would respring. I'd see that Apple logo, and it'd have to restart again. And after that, it would work fine for like one or two times. And so that happened with a lot of apps, not just the camera. But that's probably the most, I guess, like the thing I used most that happened, and that's gone. Now, every single time I've opened up the camera on beta 3, it's worked fine. My apps aren't crashing like they did. And so that right there really tells me that, along with like the faster transitions and multitasking is a lot more smooth now, that they are finally getting the animations and all that low-lying stuff down a lot better. That's a big deal. Now, I will say that that was on my iPhone 4S, so the performance probably is even a little bit better on the 5, but I've noticed on the iPad here that it's still not quite as stable. This still feels like sort of a beta 2, whereas this is definitely a lot better. This has resprung a couple times on me. The camera is really weird. It's buggy. So the iPhone definitely feels more polished at this point. So I don't know. You mentioned you had an iPad, but you didn't install it on
Correct.
there because, yeah.
And then the other thing that I noticed, besides certain apps that maybe have been late updating with iOS 7 as far as the bug fixes and whatnot, I had certain apps that would open and work just fine, but like you said, it would crash and I'd have to respring and things like that. So, but as I've been seeing later, one app was eBay. eBay is a very big
Yeah.
app to myself. I use it a lot, and when I noticed that it crashed on the first beta, I'm like, okay, no big deal. Well, it was the same thing on the second, and I was getting a little nervous. Well, luckily now at the end of the second beta before the third one came out, it was updated. So now eBay issues have been fixed, and so a lot of it I'm pretty sure is just developers and different companies haven't pushed for
Mhm.
iOS 7 yet, but other apps I know that have worked just fine often crash. So here pretty soon, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will come out with their updates and everything will run pretty smooth. But as of right now, I have honestly nothing bad to say about the beta 3 right now. It runs great. My battery has been the biggest performance boost that I've seen so far. The transitions are great, and I'm just ready for the product to be finished. I just can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my girlfriend has a 4S too, and she's still on iOS 6. And every time I have to look at her phone, it's just disappointing. Like, I go in the calendar, there's leather everywhere, and the multitasking is just horrible. It's hard going back. And a lot of people didn't like the way that iOS 7 looked, and when they saw it, a lot of people did, but also a lot of people didn't. And I think it's something that kind of grows on you. Even now, like the Safari icon, I always thought was just hideous. I still do think that, but I've come around to it. It's something that I don't really care about anymore because the whole experience is just that much better.
Right, absolutely. And I was one of those guys also, my first iPhone was iPhone 2G. So, of course, I was pretty seasoned with the way the icons and everything looked with the gloss feel and everything looked great. And when I first saw the mock-ups of iOS 7, what they could have been, I was very disappointed. To me, I thought it was, going to almost, a college level style down to elementary school. It seemed like
Yeah.
they didn't spend a lot of time with it. To me, I thought it was rushed or something, but now it's completely grown on me. I love the look of it. The whites definitely make my screen look a lot better because I don't have to have the screen up with the brightness so high anymore because of the grays and the metallics that used to be there. But now that it's all white, it looks great. And and in turn with that, having your brightness set lower, of course, saves battery. So it all works out to
Mhm.
me. I mean, of course, a lot of people are going to have their gripes and complaints about it, but it's just going to grow. But I think it runs just great. I mean, I love being able to airdrop and do things like that. I've used pretty much every utility that I could find. I mean, they've added a few more options in accessibility. You can even change this text size and things like that. And I'm just really excited to see what else Apple is going to have for iOS 7, and that's across all platforms. So I'm definitely wanting to see how it's going to run on an iPhone 4. So I don't know if anybody out there on the message
Yeah.
board or anybody's running it on an iPhone 4. If so, I would like if you guys could leave a comment or something, let us know how that performance is, and we can go from there. Because like Bob said, he has a 4S, and of course I have an iPhone 5. So I would like to see how that operating system push to that would work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember when I bought my 4S, that was like the first thing that crossed my mind is that this was the first iPhone that had a multi-core processor in it. So that right there gives it a lot more leeway for upgrades. And now even like with iOS 7, you have to really think about it. Like all the different transparency things that are within the operating system, those are all being rendered in real time. Like anything that's transparent when you slide up, it takes, based on what like the color that that transparent window is based off the app that's behind it. So all of those colors, everything is being done in real time, and it's really intensive. And at first, when the first beta came out, obviously it was glitchy, it wasn't finished, but I was skeptical that if this phone could pull it off with all that stuff being done in real time, being the older generation phone, I wasn't sure it was going to be able to keep up. But even with Developer Preview 3, it's pretty much just as smooth as iOS 6 it was, and that's with all that other stuff going on. So Apple is definitely doing some optimizations and a lot of stuff under the hood that even if you're not a huge fan of the new design, it really is like a miracle of engineering that they could upgrade the OS to do all that stuff in real time and still work that well on the older hardware. And that's something that Android, in my opinion, just can't even touch because Apple makes the software and the hardware and they can optimize it way more than Android ever could be. Not to turn this into some kind of Android debate or anything, but that's my
Correct,
thinking
correct.
behind it.
And also, and I'm with you 100%, Bob. On that end of the spectrum, I look at it as I'm a technology enthusiast first. Apple, it just happens to make great products in my very own personal opinion. I have a tremendous amount of Apple products, and from going from using an Android operating system and to going back to iOS, it really shows me where I don't feel that Apple does gimmicky software, and I really feel like that Android does.
Mhm.
And like you said, I'm not trying to make this debate about Apple or Android or anything, but I feel like some of those things don't work in every situation. And let's just give an example, like the let's say the lock screen with the face recognition. Now, say if you were in an emergency situation and the person you're trying to help is laying there on the ground grabbing in pain, you can't unlock their phone, but that's the phone you need to call 911 with. Now, I don't know all the security features and whatnot on it, but if you're trying to line that guy's face up while he's, writhing in pain, you're like, well, that's not the face, that he took the picture with. So
Yeah,
just give me a second. Maybe he'll smile in just a second. But, and that's just one feature. I mean, my buddy, I have a friend that he's very big into Android software, and he swears by all their phones and devices. And so luckily he has a flagship Galaxy S4 right now. So I was able to actually use it hands on and see how some things work. Now, I guess I kind of like the fact that when you look at certain documents and whatnot and web pages, you can scroll with your eyes, but it's very glitchy. It's buggy. It doesn't catch your eyes all the way. I was able to view movies on it, and as soon as you turn away, it would pause. But you know what the problem is too? What if you blink, it pauses? So
yeah.
there's a lot of gimmicky software. I guarantee no one's going to talk about this too much longer. But to me, I feel like that's wasted technology because I feel like it could have been done a lot better. And
Hmm.
that's one thing I haven't seen with Apple yet. I haven't seen the software or something implemented that was just a gimmick and they just tried and just said, don't worry about that. When they brought in Siri, they kept updating Siri, and Siri is more powerful than ever now. So, and I find myself using it a lot more, using it for my reminders and, Fandango, things like that. I've used it so much more than before when it first launched. And, to
Yeah.
me, that just showing me that Apple as a company is evolving and understanding customer needs and values of what we're going to do for the future. And to me, right now, I feel like they're ahead of the game, even though everyone wants to say that Android has, the S voice and things like that, going on right now. But, to me, I think products that work right are the things that stay around. And gimmick softwares, they just goes out the windows, one ear out the other. I
Yeah.
really don't hear anybody talking about those features. So, yeah, we'll see. So,
Yeah, like all those like quote unquote gimmick features, it seems like, it's awesome because it gets the company trending on Twitter for a week, but after that
right.
dies down, the excitement of something new, it dies down really quick. And Apple's not about that. And I mean, it seems like those features that are baked into the OS, those gimmicky features, if they're going to release them, then they have to think about that stuff. Like if you blink, it's going to pause the video. Nobody in their right mind wants that. I can't afford to miss half a frame of a video. So, no one thinks that
Exactly.
way. So I
Exactly.
mean, and the one time I feel that Apple released something that was truly half baked was the Maps app, and we all know what happened when that happened. And
Yeah.
everyone hated Apple. That was when like this whole thing started. That Apple is just they're done. They can't innovate anymore. That one bad application really put Apple down for a while. It got a lot of people to even move over to Android. So
Right. And believe me, I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure you're not the only one that suffered from the awful implementation of the Maps app. It was horrible. I mean, I used to tell Terrell, I used to tell him, you know what, I don't know what everyone's talking about. It gets me everywhere I need to go until I was out of town one time and needed some directions, and it told me I literally was nowhere near the particular location, but I was standing right in front of it. And
yeah,
and of course, I mean, you have to realize that Google has been in that business for a very long time. And, so when Apple's trying to catch up to that, of course there's going to be some bugs and things aren't going to be 100% perfect, and I just don't want people to think that just because Apple does it, it has to be 100% perfect, because you look at everyone else, no one really says anything about them not being perfect. They're just like, oh, well, I heard about Apple, that didn't work, and this and that. And you're right. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have switched. I'm sure a lot of people were angry and upset about it. I was one of those people, as a matter of fact. But as of right now, I haven't had a problem in a good while. And,
yep,
to me, it's just a testament to things to come and the upgrades and updates that they're making. So once iOS 7 fully hits the street in the fall, I think people will be very, very impressed by the performance and the look of it, even though a lot of people, I'm sure, are going to be used to it, the old way, and I don't know, but I think
yeah.
it's a very good thing.
Yep. Even me personally, I mean, I had my 4S for a while, almost 2 years now. My contract's almost up. And I had a phase a couple months ago. If you were on my YouTube channel, I even made a video, why I'm considering Android. And the main reason was because I just wanted something different. And that's what a lot of people do. And fortunately, I didn't have to sign my contract over for 2 years just to try Android, because as it turns out, I used it for about 2 weeks and I didn't like it. So I came right back. And I feel that a lot of people are going to do that too. A lot of people, they just want something different. Their iPhone works, but they're curious about what else is out there on the market. And who can blame them? There's a lot of cool stuff out there,
Right.
but a lot of people just want to try something different. And so this, I think, it's different enough for people that they want something different. They'll say, you know what, I'll wait until fall, and then I'll try it out. Maybe one of my friends has an iPhone or something, and then if I like it, if it's different enough for me, then I'll just stick with an iPhone. So I think that it's the same, but it's also different. It's the same that it still functions the same. You still download the apps and remove them the same, but it's different enough that it looks totally different, and it's a fresh coat of paint.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that. 100%.
Yeah. All right, so that's pretty much our thoughts on iOS 7. The beta 3 overall, an absolutely awesome beta. I really can't wait, if they'll have like a beta 4 or whether like the GM whenever that comes out. I really just can't wait for that and until eventually it's launched in the fall. So that's pretty much all we have about iOS 7. Now, in terms of betas, we also have Mavericks Developers 3 that came out. And really, we're not going to talk too much about that because Mavericks, ever since the first beta, has been very stable. Really, all they've added is a couple bug fixes. So it's nothing really all that special. But Dante, have you experienced with Mavericks at all? Have you used it?
Now, personally, I haven't. I just haven't had the time. I downloaded the file and just didn't get a chance to run it personally. But going from off of Terrell's experience, he said that at first, things, it wasn't 100% up to snuff, which nothing is. I mean, come on, these are betas, for a reason. They're still in testing phases. But from what he's told me, everything that is on there. The transitions look beautiful. Everything looks great on there, and it seems to run very, very stable for a beta software. Now, as you said, the developer preview 3 is out now, and like you said, it's just various bug fixes and whatnot. And coming from a person that just hasn't ran it personally, I don't have a lot of input on it, but just coming from what he said, I believe that it's a very good OS, and I'm definitely waiting for that to come out. One feature I'm looking for as a person like myself, I'm running a 2012 Mac Mini right now. Well, you're limited on displays because you have one Thunderbolt port, unless you're using, Apple Cinema displays. You could daisy chain or something like that. But I just so happen to I'm not using Apple Cinema displays. So what I'm looking for is I actually own a Apple TV, and I'm going to be able to use that as a third monitor, and that is a very big selling point to myself. And just because the fact that you can have a dedicated monitor running off that alone and it doesn't hurt anything else, and I think it's going to be great. I'm really waiting to see what else they're going to implement, and more features and whatnot to come. And I mean, that's really my biggest release date to come out. I'm really waiting for that. I mean, I'm like almost like a kid in a candy store. I mean, I cannot wait for it to actually come out. And but from what I hear, I mean, I haven't heard anybody really had a lot of problems. I've heard a few things about people having problems first installing it, but other than that, I haven't heard anything, besides anything that keeps it from being a beta,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, even in my experience, I mean, I'm running a Hackintosh and it runs perfect. Like Mavericks is just so, I guess, like modern and optimized for all today's newer hardware that even on a Hackintosh with, somewhat modern hardware, it's gonna run great. I mean, the whole OS, even like I said, on a Hackintosh, just ran so well. It actually really surprised me. And like you said, the whole like dual display thing with Apple TV, I was actually kind of, I mean, I didn't expect Apple to do that. I mean, I didn't think that they thought that so many people were using these multiple displays that not only would they add the ability to use an Apple TV as a third display, but also now how they have, better multiple display support in that each monitor's spaces are independent of each other. It seems that in Mavericks they really focused most of their time on the monitors, like how people have their displays set up. It seems that more and more people are using dual displays. I mean, in your personal life, do you know like how many people have dual display configurations versus have a single display configuration?
I mean, pretty much everyone that I know that's a tech enthusiast, even on halfway of the level that I am, at least has two monitors minimum. And like Terrell's a good example. He has triple monitor setup now. I have a dual monitor setup because I'm limited as far as my Mac Mini setup. But I definitely need a third monitor, and that's a good cost efficient way to do that. If you think about it, if you already have your monitor, all you need is an Apple TV. Well, an Apple TV will run you $100, and to me, it just works perfectly. And there's been times, even on a Mountain Lion, where I wish that my spaces would go just from individual screens instead of the entire thing. And
Yeah.
and I thought of it, it was just kind of a minor annoyance. I really didn't give it that much thought until they said, yes, you can do that individually. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how many times I, have done that. And I'm like, I forgot I need to move this back on this other
Yeah.
desktop. But it moves everything. So that'd be great just to, switch in between, just one screen, because a lot of people have, I'm going to just use Terrell's monitor setup as an example. He has almost like a workstation feature. So basically, he has one monitor that he does his web browsing, emails, and whatnot on, another monitor that he uses just for media, videos, and whatnot. And then his other monitor is pretty much like his multimedia monitor. He has the programs to run his audio and everything on it. And to me, that's like the perfect setup because I have so much stuff going on my monitors all the time that you find yourself running out of space. And it'd be great that if you just had say, your media monitor and you want to switch some spaces in between just that one, but the other two stay the same, that'd be great, And, I think it's a very big feature that come out for them. And like you said, I'm very surprised that they came out with that because to me it lets me know that Apple they're looking at their consumers as far as who they are and what they're doing. They're not shooting straight up the ladder for like say movie producers and things like that. These are your average users, just like yourself, myself, and I guess we're a little more advanced than others. But to have multiple displays and be able to utilize everything that we want to do on our desktops because we want more control, of course, and that is something that I felt like Apple delivered perfectly with OS Mavericks. So. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even now with Mountain Lion, I'm very satisfied with it. I mean, when I heard about Mavericks, I was wondering what else they were even going to add to it because I'm absolutely very happy with Mountain Lion right now. I mean, They added some things to Mavericks, like, to help consume less battery power and stuff, but that's where OS 10 is now. The OS is so fluid and awesome as it is that now they're worried about saving battery life. I mean, they don't need to add a lot of different things to the OS. And of course, they have their little things. But I mean, once you start, really focusing on the real under the hood stuff instead of just saying, yeah, we have 5,000 new features here. You could do this and this and this and this and this. They're really saying, you know what, your OS works for you guys, most of you as it is. Those of you that want even more displays can have it. And because, if you're on a MacBook and you want multiple displays, that's more batteries. So, we'll do some low under the hood things to help save you battery life. And everyone's happy with that. I've not heard any single person on the internet complain that Mavericks is bad or that it's just not good enough. And with that said, it's probably going to be like 20 bucks. I mean, you just
Correct.
absolutely can't beat that.
Correct. And then also you have to realize too, and this is just from the developer previews that we've been pushed out. Now, you have to realize after they come out with this OS as a full, there's going to be updates to the OS. So,
Yep.
so to me, I feel like Apple has very big plans that we can't even really put our finger on right now. One thing I think is the Thunderbolt technology. I believe that they're going to expand that Thunderbolt technology. There's going to be more Thunderbolt devices, and things are going to be running on a faster spectrum while using Thunderbolt. I've seen that Intel has an actual Thunderbolt flash drive. I believe it's a 12 gigabyte flash drive,
Oh,
and I'm not
really?
sure if it's yes, I'm not sure if it's out to the market yet, but I've read some things about it, and to me, it seems like everything is going to probably move over. So.
Yeah, yeah, and right now I think that because OS 10 is so polished, and as they might, they'll keep updating it. We'll have 10.9.1, 10.9.2, whatever. The big thing that I think sticks out is how OS 10 looks. Not necessarily how it functions, but it's kind of like an iOS 6 to iOS 7. Do you think that maybe in OS 11 or whatever they're going to call it, do you think that we'll have an iOS 7 appearance to OS 10?
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we had an overhaul with the icons and overall layout as far as OS 11. The redesign I think would be great because following iOS 7, I feel like it would be a good time to revamp that because if you think back to Leopard and Tiger and Snow Leopard and whatnot, they pretty much look the same, and it's almost like from your first iOS all the way now to iOS 7. So I feel like
Mhm.
right now is a very good time if you're going to redesign redesign it while it's still fresh. And you know what? I've also noticed that people they like things to be advanced but simplified. If my phone looks like my tablet and looks like my desktop, to me it works perfectly because you don't feel like there's a learning curve from everything that you touch. Everything's pretty familiar. Safari looks just like it does on the iPad, on your iPhone, and on your I think just had that overall look of how everything cascades and transitions, transparencies, and things like that. That if it looks the same on all those platforms, I think it'll be just perfect, for the product. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're always in that top one or two category because functionality. You get people that have never, cared too much about a computer and they just so happen to own a Mac, and then you put them on Windows and they're like, oh my gosh, there's like so many side this and menus for that and this and this and a lot of people actually like the fact that they can put their icons right there on the dock and just click it, and instead of going to start, going to, applications, going down all the phone, and then, to me, a lot of people get lost like that. And to me, that's kind of like Android's operating system as well. I think there's too many subfolders, too many things, directories, and things that you can get into that you may or may not be able to make your phone stable. And then, but to me, the redesign as far as OS 11, I think it's ready. I think it's about time. You know.
Yeah,
Now, also, I
yeah,
got a question for you.
absolutely.
What do you think about maybe Siri integration into OS 11, maybe?
I think
Because
it's just a
we
matter
have
of time.
dictation now. So, I mean, of
Yeah.
course. And to me, I've used dictation, and it works very well. I was actually surprised at how well it would capture my voice, and I mean, it was perfect. And I'm like, wow, yeah, that's pretty good. And so, I I think that a possible Siri upgrade into OS 11 is coming, and I'd like to see it honestly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Siri, I think it's just a matter of time. I honestly think they're already working on it. And if you guys haven't used Mavericks, they actually added something that's, enhanced dictation. And so I'm not exactly sure as, 100% what that is, but I don't know if that's like, completely offline, dictation that because it does download a packet that's about 700 megabytes worth. So it downloads some big things. So I think that might be some, offline stuff. So even if you're out on your MacBook and you don't have a connection, you can at least still dictate. So that dictation goes hand in hand with Siri. I do think that's coming. And also Mavericks, I noticed this is just kind of a little thing, but in Mavericks, when you use dictation, it's kind of like Android now. Like as you're talking, it'll recognize and start typing it's not just, tap, talk, wait, and then it throws everything out. It actually like
Correct.
types as you speak now. So I think that's pretty neat. So, but I mean, even if they're going to make the OS eventually look the same, I do think they're going to make it function even more the same. Features like Launchpad, I'm not a fan of. I'll be honest, I never use it, but
Don't
it's
never use
cool
it.
because yeah, see, it's cool because some people that they're in their 50s, they don't want to have to learn how to launch apps a different way. They can do that, but people like us, we don't even have to know it's there if we don't want
Right.
to because you just don't have to. It's not in your way at all. But if it's there, it's awesome for you. It's so easy to get to. And so Siri, I think it's going to be that thing too, where not everybody that has an iPhone or whatever uses their reminders, even uses iCloud even. But those
Exactly.
people that do, it's there and it's not in your way if you don't want to use it. So Siri will definitely benefit a lot of people that do use their reminders. I mean, a lot of people have OS 10 on their work computers, and so you say, you know what, I have a dentist appointment this day, or I have a meeting this day, and then all of a sudden you walk out your door and it's on your phone. So I say, why not? Why not add it?
Okay. Good
It's not
deal.
like they
Good deal.
can't. Yep.
Right.
So that's pretty much all we have now to recap the betas. We just talked about iOS 7 and Mavericks, the future of those, what we think is coming, what's already here, what we love, what we hate. But yeah, in terms of the betas, that's pretty much all we have to say. Now what we're going to do is talk about some rumors that we have. So just to first start off, the iWatch. We've all heard about this for a long time. There's stuff out there like now, like the Pebble Watch, that basically you need a smartphone to connect to it, and then you can just get some heads-up notifications and things like that. Do you think that you'd ever own a Pebble Watch, or if Apple came out with a watch, do you think you would buy it?
Personally, I think I would because with my day job, sometimes there's times where I'm in meetings and things like that, and when you go to reach down to check your phone, and you need to have your notifications off, maybe vibrates on or something like that. It would be nice to get a display or something to get your reminders or notifications just by the flip of your wrist and go, oh, okay, I can see that I need to get out of here to pick up the kids from the pool or what have you. And I think it'd be good. Only problem is, to me, I feel like within the past, I say 10 years, I feel like consumers have kind of moved away from the watch because the smartphone has been so big that it's pretty much a pocket computer. So I'm not sure how many what the market is as far as people that are wearing watches anymore. But depending on what Apple does with it and the integration and whatnot, it may start just a huge wave on people wearing watches again. And a lot of people, they thought that the iWatch was going to basically be like an iPod Nano, with some notifications
Yeah.
and a headphone jack, things like that. And to me, I don't think it'll be like that. I'm not sure what they're exactly planning with it, but I feel like if they're going to go ahead and go forward and push the envelope to the watch game, that I feel like they're going to bring something that's going to be very intuitive and innovative for all consumers. Because you have to realize too, as far as Apple in general, I feel like they're very, very, very user friendly, meaning people of every age group, every market, because I guarantee there's going to be older people, who need to say, I don't know, say they have diabetes or something, they need to check their blood sugar or something. I think it'd be nice to, if their wrists, vibrates or something, and they, I need to check my sugar, things like that, because and maybe you and I mean, Terrell, I'm sure there's been 1,000 times you've had your phone on vibrate and still missed your notification,
Yeah.
and I think if it was somewhere up here, somewhere to touch on actual skin instead of in your pocket or maybe on a belt clip or something like that, you're more likely to catch your notification. So to me, I think it's a great thing. I mean, I've seen that they already tried to get the iWatch trademarked in Mexico, Taiwan, Turkey, Colombia, Russia, and Japan. And I feel like it's going to be something that they're going to be definitely moving forward to. I'm just skeptical now, only because, of course, not knowing. You don't know what the market is as far as watches and things like that. And of course, it's going to be price point. What can it do? Is it just like having a smaller smartphone? I'm not sure, but I understand that if Apple's going to spend some time and some money and put that in there, it's going to definitely work right and be something that's worthwhile. So we'll have to see what the future holds, and we'll see what goes from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the main thing I've always been skeptical about with the whole iWatch rumor is that Because if it's anything like the Pebble Watch, it's going to rely on your phone. Apple doesn't typically make products that rely on others. They make products that work very well together. But if an iWatch is going to rely on your phone, do you think that's something Apple would do?
I honestly don't. Honestly, because think about it. I've never heard of anybody saying, "Hey, you can get this iPad and iPhone bundle because your iPhone has to use the internet from it to travel to the iPad when you're out and about." Now, of course, tethering and things like that, those are good features, but it's never required. Apple
Hmm.
hasn't packaged anything like, "Well, you have to buy this particular display or you have to buy this particular product to work with another product." So no, I don't think it'll be anything like that. I'm actually curious to think that will they have some sort of you know some sort of some sort of SIM chip or something. I mean, I've heard that people are saying that, well, it's going to have its own individual source of internet, and to me, I thought that was a little too drastic. I don't see me going
Yeah.
into the AT&T store and say, "Hey, man, my SIM chip on my watch just went out. And matter of fact, can I update the bandwidth on it because I had the 1 GB plan on it?" You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but there definitely needs to be something that kind of crosses the line or bridges that gap in between there. Because if not, you just have just almost another watch. I think that I definitely don't want it to fall into a gimmick, like the Pebble Watch and things like that, because I just don't know what Apple has in store for it. I'm not sure if you're going to be sitting here watching a movie on something this big.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure what you can and can't do. I think it'd be nice to say maybe if you had a reminder and it pops up, it has like say reminder to call your mom, and then maybe your mom's face or something pops up to get oh yeah, I need to call her. Because a lot of times people can associate better with faces and whatnot, especially older people. So we'll just have to see what'll happen. But as far as it requiring your phone, I'm just not sure because I think Apple wants to get that market no matter where. I mean, even if that person has an Android phone in their pocket, they probably still walking around with an iWatch. You still want that market no matter what. Wherever you can get those numbers would be great. So.
Yeah, it's really hard to try to predict or put your finger on what Apple's going to do with this, or actually even if it even exists. I mean, we know that these patents, I mean, they did happen. Apple has done patents for like the watch or like the strap or whatever. We all know that, but that doesn't necessarily mean the product is going to come to market. Now, with all that, everything we just said in mind, like, do you think Apple would make a product based or like that requires another product of theirs or even an Android phone? Do you think that, if you were just to put money on it, do you think that we would see some kind of an Apple Watch by the end of the year?
By the end of the year, I would say no. I feel like Apple has a lot of products right now coming out. I mean, there's a lot of upgrades that they still have to make. I mean, I haven't heard anything about a 2013 Mac Mini. I haven't heard anything about price point on the Mac Pro. I mean, there's a lot of things that are still coming. I think that that would almost flood the market a little too much. I think they could actually take their time and do what companies do. Of course, they have all their ducks in a row and spread them out periodically. Because number one, you can't tell me that they have enough um, people and staff and to beta test every single one of those things at the same exact time. You'd run into a lot of problems, and I think that Apple's smarter than that. They've been in this game for a long time. They've revolutionized the whole smartphone industry. So I don't think that they would take such a drastic jump by the end of the year, because I mean there were still rumors about iPhone 5S. I mean we heard a lot about it, and then now the rumors are starting to die down because now just focus on OS Mavericks and the new Mac Pro and things like that that they've already unveiled. So
Mm.
I think that once after this fall, things will start picking up speed. But by the end of the year, I say no.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you there. I just don't think that they're ready for it. I mean, I like there's a lot of thought that goes into something that goes this big. I mean, like you said, they don't want to release something that isn't going to do all that much, or like has to completely rely on the phone. It's probably going to have its own functions and could also integrate with your phone or whatever they plan on doing. It's going to take a lot of thought to figure out what could bring a watch back to the point where a lot of people would want to wear them again. So, I mean, that's really hard to take a trend that has died, pretty much died. I think we can all can agree that most people don't wear watches nowadays, but
Correct, correct.
there's a few people that do. But it's very hard to take a trend that has died, try to modernize it, and then bring it back again and have it be massively successful. Now, can Apple do it? They have, like you said, the people, they have the resources to make it happen, but it's not that easy. It's going to take a lot of time, a ton of thought, and maybe we will see it. But if we do it, I don't think it's going to be at least until next year. So I definitely have to
If
agree with you there.
anything, I believe if we see anything, it may be a mock-up or a model of it. That's about it. Maybe slight features, but other than that, I mean, I'm guaranteeing this thing is at least a year or so out from now.
Yes, and
So
that's if we even see it.
if we see it, yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so basically, into our last topic here, it kind of goes the same about this whole mythical Apple TV that everyone's been talking about. Now, personally, I mean, Dante, you mentioned you have an Apple TV. I have an Apple TV. I absolutely love my Apple TV. I use it every single night. And it's kind of like like we were just talking about, how Apple products work very well together. And I can AirPlay anything that's on this screen to that TV. I can AirPlay anything that a video file from my Hackintosh here onto that TV. And so it's just really nice to be able to do that. Now, with that said, do you think that you'd want a whole dedicated television set that has its own screen, its own everything? Do you think you'd be in the market for something like that?
To me, I think so. Now, that's only because of the type of user I am. As far as a market base, I'm not sure. And like you said, I use my Apple TV every day. I love it. And I was actually late getting Apple TV. I kept thinking, well, it's just a media hub and whatnot, and but until I finally got it, I mean, I'm walking around honestly like, what was I doing before this? Because how many times have your buddy sent you a text message of some video on YouTube real quick, and you're like, oh my gosh, and then that fast I can throw it on the TV and to share with everybody else instead of everyone
Yeah.
crowding around my iPhone. So I think that there definitely, I'm sure there's going to be some improvements coming up soon. Now, one thing I think they're going to bring, if they're going to launch a new Apple TV, I think they will. Is They were talking about Time Warner cable integration in the works,
Hmm.
maybe. Then also maybe having resolution for like 4K TVs and whatnot. I think those are like some of the basic upgrades they could do. But definitely more apps. I mean, there's not really any apps, and maybe there'll be a way to be able to actually go to the App Store and get apps and maybe third-party apps and whatnot. Maybe we'll see Apple kind of open up the door on some development for that, to make some things better. And but I think I think it's a very good product. And for my setup that I have personally, I would definitely use an Apple TV as its own monitor system because of where I'm limited with my Mac Mini. So. Gaming possibly. I could see gaming coming to it. I could see just different aspects of media. You never know. You may get to a point where maybe they'll throw a USB port on the thing, and maybe you can hook a hard drive to it and just load the thing up, through Wi-Fi and have your movies all in one central location. And I mean, I think that would be great. I mean, it's for a media hub. I mean, I love it. I can AirPlay. I can just generally search, just go straight there and go to YouTube and things like that. And you wouldn't realize how much you would actually use that in a crowded setting, when you don't want maybe everyone to come down and look at your one monitor or something. Well, if you have a nice HD TV or something, you can AirPlay the thing and make it just look very nice on there. I think it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more I think about like an actual dedicated TV set is, I think of like my dream TV. And the way TV is now, it's all satellite. You have to buy DVRs and all that stuff. I think if Apple were to come out with like a dedicated TV set, it would be a lot more than that. They would try to, take a chunk of that entire market. They're not just going to have a TV that, oh, you can buy this TV and hook it up to whatever service you want. I think that Apple is going to try to keep, Apple is very proprietary. We all know this. They try to keep you in their ecosystem. So, I mean, all like this story here about how Time Warner is trying to, maybe signing a deal with Apple or something. Maybe, Apple will go a lot deeper than just releasing like a physical, TV set. Maybe like that TV will only connect, say, with iTunes, and you can buy TV shows or stations even all the cart. So you don't have to pay like $100 a month for 1,000 channels you'll never watch. Maybe instead you can just pay $10 a month for 3 or 4 channels that you do watch, or unlimited, however film. Like I don't know how they would do it,
Correct.
but I mean, and even like you said, they could throw a USB port on there. Maybe the DVR will be some kind of a hard drive instead of an actual DVR that you have to get from a cable company. So
Exactly.
I mean, there'd probably some kind of DRM there that you can't just go copying stuff to other people's TVs that haven't subscribed to that channel. But I think there's a lot of leeway there that Apple can not just release some kind of a TV, but also have a whole entire ecosystem surrounding it that totally evolves around iTunes or anything else really that's part of the Apple ecosystem. I mean, I think if Apple were to release some kind of Apple TV, that would be the way that they would do it.
Now, I think on to your point. Now, if they were to come out with an actual television set, I think they would make it definitely something more than just having a gigantic cinema display with an eyesight camera. Of course, I would think they would have a eyesight camera on that particular set, but also think about you made a very good point as far as being able to subscribe to certain channels, a la carte. Because think about it, there's a huge, 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 huge market of teenagers and college students that use Apple products, where you have to realize what happens with most college students. They're broke. They don't have a lot of money. They want to, get cable service, but maybe they can't afford the packages. Maybe they don't watch all 130 channels, but that's the package they need to get to watch just the 6 channels that they would like to have. Now, that'd be a great idea if they just had, like you said, subscriptions in the App Store to where you can say, hey, I like Spike TV or something. I like to watch that. I watch it every night or something. Or yes, I'll get HBO and whatnot and just pay literally by, channel, because it'd be a lot more cost efficient. It's not running you 50, 60, 70, and sometimes $100 a month, just to have simple service. And then also having the ability to be able to airplay and things like that would also be a great feature. But like you said, I don't feel that Apple would just come out with a TV that's just a nice aluminum smart TV. I think they would actually bring something to the game where other TVs makers and companies aren't, even in that realm. And if it actually legitly comes out, I think that it's definitely going to be a game changer. We'll probably see, some knockoffs and some things, probably trying to jump the gun on it. If Apple announces anything like that, but I think it'd be great. I mean, because there is a huge amount of people that go to college that literally just can't pay for all that. They have their one studio apartment or whatever. They love their Apple products and whatnot, but in order to get television, they'd have to pay a subscriber, a lot of money up front and things like that. Pay for equipment, charge for HD boxes and things like that. It'd be nice if they came out with something where, like you said, they could just pick and choose exactly what they wanted and get the exact bang for their buck.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, even like more jumping to like a more, I guess, realistic topic, because if Apple does make a TV, it's not going to be seen probably for a long time. But even if you just talk about the little hockey puck we have now, do you think that maybe by the end of this year, or maybe even next year, that Apple could bring that a la carte, channel selection, or even like an app store or anything like that to the current black hockey puck?
Now, personal opinion, I don't think so. Only because I know there's a lot of different hoops you have to jump through with these different subscribers. Of course, they make their money off monthly subscriptions, and if maybe they come up with something a lot cheaper for a monthly subscription, maybe. But I know that maybe just a person like myself, I don't really like to pay for a lot of monthly subscriptions. If I could just pay for it once and say, hey, look, I paid you guys, 19.99, and I can watch your channel as much as possible, that would be great, because I think people will make sporadic big purchases than huge monthly purchases every month, and the things that I see that the Apple TV, is basically just, updates. I can feel like they'll, maybe have updated integration for, like I said, 4K, maybe on this particular one, but maybe they'll save it for the next one. So that's just my opinion. I just don't feel like they'll come out with that too fast because, I mean, it's kind of like Netflix, I would think. I mean, you'd have to get a lot of people on board. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a lot of hoops and DRMs and things, like you said, you don't want somebody to try to copy their subscription to HBO or Showtime and be able to just rename it or something and give it to you and things like that.
Yeah.
So of course there's going to be something they're going to have to come up with to keep it in a finer line. And until they get there, I just don't think we'll see it yet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're very people. All these different companies are very strict on how they make their money, and they're going to see to it that any deal that they make with any company is going to yield them the biggest cut. I mean,
Exactly.
they're not going to be like, okay, well, this is Apple we're talking about, so we'll take less profit. That's just not going to happen. I mean, there's probably going to be hours and hours and hours worth of negotiations for any kind of deal to even potentially happen. So it's going to take a long time. And of course, this Apple TV rumor is nothing new. This has been around for at least a year now, probably even longer than that.
Correct.
So I mean,
It's been around about as long as the jailbreaking of the Apple TV 3. I mean, that thing, I
yeah.
mean,
Hmm.
if anyone sees any of that, it's false. Don't click it. Don't, don't do it. There's no exploit, there's very small room for it. So, but yeah, it's been around for a very long time, and we're going to see more rumors just because Apple, they're pretty good at keeping things tight knit and close lipped up until around the time they're going to unveil. So, it'll be interesting to see what they do with the Apple TV. I think it's a very powerful device for what it is, and I can see it going a lot further. I could see it becoming its own actual television. And everything's already integrated. I mean, that'd be nice, to have a Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, maybe, television where you can just get subscriptions right there, and I mean, it'd be great, so we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a while since this last Apple TV's been updated. Do you think that we'll see this one like a new version of the Apple TV, the Black Puck, this year? And I mean, if we do you think it'll have an App Store or 4K support, or do you think we'll see one this year? And what do you think will be on it if we do?
I can definitely say I believe they will have 4K support. App Store, not yet. I think it's just not ready yet. Because like I said, since it's dealing with media, you have to realize that if there's going to be more apps to it, it's going to be part of Apple's update, like the Instagram and different Hulu Plus, things like that. It'll just be one or two few things because, like you said, everyone wants the massive profit. Everyone wants, if you're selling for 99, 9.99, they want 9.98 of it, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's just it's corporate America, it's business, this is the way everything works. So I think that once people start seeing the momentum of things to come and how everyone are the numbers of Apple TV going up and things like that. And what's funny is the numbers may just go up because someone just wants that third display. But once people catch wind of what they've been selling a lot of Apple TVs and they've been wanting our service, well, we need to figure something out.
Yeah.
And maybe they can come to an agreement to get that within maybe the next year or so. So hopefully, within about the next year, there'll be a lot of things will change with the Apple TV. Maybe we'll see a redesign coming up. You never know. I mean, it's been almost the same basic shape for a while. Since the first generation. It's considerably gotten smaller in black and whatnot. But you never know. I mean, maybe we'll see a unibody one. Maybe we'll see something that's just a complete different shape and go from there. But to me personally, I don't think they'll make that drastic change for at least another year or so out.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one thing that I love about the Apple TV. I mean, it's $100, and with that $100, you can get a third display out of it. You can get Netflix out of it. You can get pretty much anything you want out of it. If you want to, you can even hack the thing. But for that $100, you're really getting a lot. So maybe if Apple does come out with an App Store in the next year or two, or however long it takes them, chances are very likely that even though this is an older Apple TV, it'll still be able to go on there because it's been the same basic thing for so long.
Correct.
So
Correct.
it's kind of like the iPhones, how iOS 7 you can install it on something that's on an iPhone 4, and that's 3 years ago. So this support will probably still be there for a long time. And the Apple TV is just so versatile that it's hard not to love it. So, but I guess that we're just gonna go ahead and wrap that up, for the rumors. That's all the rumors we have today. And so now for the last portion of what we have here for you guys today, we're gonna start what we're calling a tech treat of the week. And now this is something that, for the last for the last week, couple days, whatever, this is either an application or a piece of hardware or something that is somehow related to technology or Apple that we found useful and we want to share with you guys. So, Dante, if you want to go ahead and kick it off, what is your tech treat of the week?
Okay, the tech treat of the week is I don't know if a lot of people know anything about this, but the Apple is celebrating 5 years of the App Store right now. And if you actually go onto iTunes.com, you can actually go through the App Store and see different apps that they have on there that were normally paid apps are going to be free. Now, this is going to be free just for a limited time. It's going to be until the end of the week. Now, there's different apps like Badland. Is a game that's out there. Barefoot World Atlas is out there. Infinity Blade 2, a very popular game, is out there. You can get that one for free. How to Cook, Tiny Wings, and Tracker DJ for iPhone. There's a lot of good apps there. Even a How to Cook app. Or How to Cook Everything app. Maybe you want to put that on your girlfriend's thing if you find out her password or something. That's just for some of you users out there. Now, like I said, this is a limited time offer. You can get these on the App Store right now. These are normally paid apps, and you can get them for free for a limited time offer for Apple celebrating 5 years of the App Store. So, that's our tech treat of the week, and I appreciate it, guys.
Yep, sounds awesome. You can't argue with free apps. I mean, those are good apps too. It's not they're just some run-of-the-mill apps. Those are very popular. Infinity Blade's been around since like the App Store came out, I think. So Infinity Blade 2 is even better. Get it for free. Why not? My tech tree of the week is an application called Air Video, and this is $2.99 in the App Store. It comes as a Mac app, which I don't believe is in the Mac App Store. I just got it from Safari. The Mac app was free, and the iPad app or iPhone app is $2.99. Now, what this application does is that it makes your whatever directory you point it to, you can point it to multiple, and it basically makes that folder or that directory act as a server. And now, what you can do with this is, if you get the corresponding iPad or whatever iOS app, iPhone, iPad, whichever you pick, you can actually open up that folder on here on whatever iOS device. And if, say, for example, it's called Air Video. So if you have, say, MKV files or AVI files or any non-Apple friendly codec, this will transcode it for you on the fly, and you can watch it on here. Not only can you do that, but you can also AirPlay it to an Apple TV from the app. So really, you can transcode MKVs or AVIs or whatever video format you throw at it on the fly and watch it on your Apple TV without having to convert it first. That, to me, that saved me like a good hour and a half of converting the other day, and for $2.99, you really just can't beat it. One thing I don't like about it though is you can't play music. It is called Air Video, but I mean most audio formats are pretty friendly anyway, unless you have like a Wave or something, which I don't think works. But there's other ways to send MP3s and stuff to your Apple TV. So that's my tech treat of the week. Absolutely awesome app. For $3, you really can't go wrong with it. Well, I guess that wraps it up for episode 4. Be sure to let us know what you think down in the comments. You can, of course, watch us live. We're going to try to do it every Tuesday, but, being in college and working and summer, really, really fast coming to an end, which I hate. Schedules may change in the future, but, of course, you can stay tuned right here, and we'll let you know of any changes. But, Dante, thanks for joining us. I'm sure we'll have you on in the
Thanks
future
for having me.
a lot. Yeah, great, awesome discussions today. And go ahead and where are you at on Twitter or anywhere else you want people to find you?
At That's where you can find me at Twitter. Also, Casey Nightmare at yahoo.com. Casey Nightmare for Google Plus. I mean, pretty much if it's Casey Nightmare, it's probably me.
Awesome. Way to keep it nice and simple. You can find me at roachtechnology.com. I have tons of discussion of Hackintosh and just general tech talk at CPU Kid on Twitter. And if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, then you already know. It's youtube.com/CPUKid00. Feel free to join us every Tuesday. We're going to try to keep the show on every week. But, real life happens. Things come up. So be sure to follow us all on Twitter. If something does happen, then you'll know when to catch us live. So be sure to stick around for episode 5, and we'll see you next time.